welcome to the deep dive. Sometimes, the most interesting stuff comes from really unexpected places.
Absolutely, like a conversation that just jumps all over.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into one just like that. A source discussion that covered, well, everything from alleged alien abductions,
To drugs and war.
yeah, car culture, even big societal challenges. It was quite a mix.
Right. And our job today really is to unpack all these different threads. We want to connect the dots, pull out the key facts, the core insights.
hmm Make it make sense, but without, drowning you in information.
Precisely. Get you the good stuff, the knowledge that sticks.
So get ready. We're going on a bit of a journey through some compelling, sometimes, frankly, bizarre topics. And as we go, maybe ask yourself, what really jumps out to you?
Good question. Let's start.
Okay, first up, unexplained encounters. Let's begin with a story that, well, it even became a movie, Fire in the Sky, the Travis Walton abduction case from the 70s.
Oh, yeah, that one's famous.
So the basic story. Walton and his logging buddies are out in Arizona. They see this crazy light, a glowing disc just hovering there.
In the forest.
Yeah. And Walton, being Walton, I guess, gets closer. He's hit by this beam of light, goes down. The others, they panic, fled, totally terrified.
And then he disappears for 5 whole days.
Right. Vanished.
Yeah.
Then he reappears, seems okay physically, but he tells this story, taken aboard the craft.
Says the beam fucked his body up, but they fixed him on board. And communication was telepathic.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think.
Right.
Walton's been telling the exact same story for over 40 years, never changed it.
Consistency is key in these accounts.
But also, his friends, the loggers who fled, they backed up the first part, seeing the craft, him getting hit, him disappearing.
Even though they weren't exactly best friends at the time.
Not at all. Apparently, Walton had gotten into a fist fight with one of them earlier that same day, right there in the truck. They disliked him, so why would they lie for him? Risk everything, face ridicule.
That's the compelling part. Reluctant witnesses add weight. This type of story led J. Allen Hynek, the ufologist, to define close encounters of the fourth kind, specifically for abductions.
Right, the abduction part.
And what's fascinating is the narrative consistency you sometimes see across completely different people claiming these abduction experiences. It makes you think about, well, perception, memory, trauma, and what remains constant over decades.
It's a sticky one. Okay, let's pivot to another unsolved mystery. Different vibe, but just as baffling. D.B. Cooper.
Ah, the skyjacker.
Yeah.
November 24th, 1971.
Yeah. This sort of dapper, dark-haired guy gets on a plane, calls himself Dan Cooper, passes a note to the flight attendant.
Saying he has a bomb.
Exactly. Even flashes a briefcase with, like, a tangle of wires and red sticks. Very dramatic.
Definitely gets your attention.
His demands weren't small either. He wanted the 36 passengers let off in Seattle.
In exchange for cash. A lot of cash back then. And 4 parachutes.
Yep. They give him what he wants. Plane takes off again, headed for Mexico City. But then, at 10,000 feet.
He jumps out the back of the plane, somewhere over the Pacific Northwest, and just vanishes.
Into the night, into that wilderness.
In that wilderness, it's incredibly challenging terrain. We're talking heavily wooded, real dense trees, a safe parachute landing there, extremely unlikely.
Like jumping into a forest of giant Q-tips, someone said.
Pretty much. And remember, this is 1971. No GPS. He'd have just maps, maybe a compass, at night. Navigating that after jumping, it's almost unthinkable.
So the theories fly, right?
Yeah.
Was he some kind of sober genius who planned every detail?
Or was it more like a total meth head plan, as someone described it? Just a wild, desperate gamble.
We just don't know.
And the FBI threw everything at it. Huge manhunt, years of searching, nothing definitive.
Still unsolved.
Which is why it sticks with us, I think. It's the ultimate impossible escape story. It just captures the imagination. Makes you wonder about the limits of what's possible.
Okay, let's shift gears now. Human behavior under pressure, but in a different context.
Door war.
Specifically, the use of drugs in warfare.
A dark but persistent part of military history.
Starting with World War II, it seems pretty clear the Nazis were definitely using meth. Pervitin, specifically.
Right, Pervitin. It was actually over the counter for a while, then the German government started distributing it to soldiers.
Yeah, apparently tank crews on the front lines got higher doses to keep them going, I suppose.
Exactly. Enhanced performance, fight fatigue.
But it wasn't just the Nazis. The U.S. military handed out something like 200 million amphetamine pills during the war.
Benzedrine, usually. And Japanese kamikaze pilots were known to use amphetamines on their final missions, too.
So the rationale seems pretty grimly straightforward.
Well, yeah. Militaries wanted soldiers to survive, to succeed, to push beyond normal human limits, so they used substances to boost endurance, aggression, maybe confidence.
Makes you wonder about the long-term cost, though, for
Yeah,
the soldiers themselves.
absolutely. What happens after years of sustained, state-sponsored drug use? That's a huge, often overlooked question. The psychological, the physical toll.
And it's not just WWII, is it? This pattern goes way back. American Civil War soldiers got alcohol rations, liquid courage.
Right. And fast forward to modern conflicts.
Hmm.
Groups like ISIS using Captagon.
That weird old ADHD drug.
Yeah, basically failed as an ADHD drug, but gives this sense of euphoria, purpose, suppresses fear. And then you have the horrific use of brown cocaine and gunpowder given to child soldiers in parts of Africa.
Snorted for rapid effect. That's awful.
It is extremely addictive, extremely damaging. But what's striking, I think, is this consistent theme across time and cultures. Using psychoactive stuff to change how people behave under extreme stress, especially in war.
It's a disturbing constant.
It really is. It shows how far we'll go to gain an edge in conflict, even at immense human cost.
Okay, let's transition to a different kind of societal pressure. Something maybe quieter, but profound.
Yeah.
Population decline. Japan is the starkest example right now.
Yeah, it's quite alarming. Japan's population has been shrinking for about 15 years straight.
The numbers are wild. More than 2 people die for every baby born.
And projections suggest the population could literally halve by the end of this century. They lost almost 1 million people just last year. Net loss.
What does that actually mean for a society?
Well, the implications are huge. You get severe labor shortages everywhere, not just factories, but hospitals, government, even the military.
Who takes care of the elderly? Who pays taxes?
Exactly. The burden falls harder and harder on the younger generation, which is shrinking. It can lead to economic stagnation, maybe even a breakdown of social structures. And Japan's not alone. South Korea's replacement rate is also really bad.
And some of the ways Japanese society is reacting, or maybe the factors involved, are, quite strange.
You mean like the minister Taro Kono?
Yeah. Apparently one of thousands in Japan in serious monogamous relationships with fictional characters. He married an anime character hologram in 2018.
It's definitely unusual. A coping mechanism, perhaps?
And then there's the statistic about virginity rates among millennials. Almost half of Japanese singles age 18 to 34 say they're virgins. Compare that to barely 20% in the U.S.
Big difference. Reflects changing social norms, economic pressures, maybe.
Could be. And in some villages, they're apparently so depopulated and lonely, they use these colorful mannequins just to make the place look inhabited.
Wow. That speaks volumes about loneliness and the loss of community.
So what's the takeaway here?
I think it shows how deeply things like human connection, relationships, having kids, how fundamental they are to keeping society going. And when those things shift dramatically, people find, sometimes desperate or very unusual ways to cope. It highlights a basic human need.
A need for connection, for purpose. Okay, let's shift again into something maybe a bit lighter, but just as passionate. Cars. Automotive adventures.
Ah, yes, car culture, modifications.
Right, like putting an LS engine, that big American V8 into Japanese cars.
Yeah.
A Nissan 240SX maybe.
Or even an R34 GTR, which some people consider total blasphemy.
Absolute sacrilege to the purists. We heard about some wild builds, like a 73 Plymouth Barracuda, but with the front end from a 71 model, and an LS swap.
And that custom Barracuda by Roadster Shop.
Right.
With a Mercury racing engine.
Yeah, 9,000 RPM, exotic sound, just incredible craftsmanship. And, full disclosure, we've got our own passions, an R35 Nismo GTR, an old air-cooled Porsche 911.
Which brings us to things like the outlaw Porsche scene.
Right, like Akira Nakai, RWB.
Oh, Velbegraf, yeah.
Yeah.
His work is controversial. He hand makes these super wide body tits, but it involves, physically cutting into the original car.
Purists hate it.
Exactly. So there's this real tension, isn't there? Preserving the original design versus this powerful urge for personalization, for extreme looks, extreme performance. It's about identity through the car.
But manufacturers have very different views on this stuff. Look at Ferrari.
Oh, they are notoriously protective of their brand image. Aggressively so.
Remember the Philip Plein lawsuit? The fashion designer. Ferrari sued him for over $350,000.
Just for posting pictures online of his Ferraris next to his shoes, right? And they didn't like the context, scantily clad women, controversial figures like Chris Brown or Tekashi 6ix9ine in the shots.
Yeah, and they fined him for every future picture he posted like that.
Compare that to how they handled Miami Vice back in the day. They made the show blow up the replica Daytona on screen.
Before they'd supply a real Testarossa. which then became iconic because of the show. They seemed more open then.
It's a fascinating contrast. It really shows how different companies view ownership, art, brand control.
Hmm.
Who gets to define what the brand means once it leaves the factory?
Yeah, the creator versus the consumer.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. But beyond modifying and speed, there's just the feeling of driving
The
sometimes.
sensory experience, you mean?
Exactly. Hearing the engine sound, feeling the click of a manual gearbox, the smells, that raw connection you get in a simple light car like that old air-cooled 911. It's not about going fast necessarily.
It's about engagement, control, immersion.
Totally. And that feeling, that need for connection,
Yeah.
kind of relates to creativity too, doesn't it? Like writer's block.
Or performer's block. Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you generate new material?
We heard different approaches. Some people sketch out half ideas on stage, just throw them out there under pressure.
While others need to step back, take time off, collect ideas, really figure out what interests them without a deadline looming.
It's about finding your process.
And knowing your lane, maybe, but also being willing to explore outside it, like Post Malone doing country music successfully,
Right, knowing your strengths, but not being afraid to experiment.
which also connects to feedback, right? How do you know if the experiment is working?
Yeah, let's unpack that. The peer feedback thing in comedy.
Mm.
Chris Rock apparently hires other comics.
Just to watch his sets and give him notes. Brutally honest notes sometimes.
Yeah, Louis C.K. used to give him taglines too. It shows that even at the absolute top, you often need that outside perspective, someone to say, hey, why did you say that? That was weird, or that bit works.
It's about battling your own biases, isn't it? It's hard to judge your own work objectively. That external critique, even if it stings, can be invaluable. Humility in creativity.
Definitely. Okay, final segment. Let's dive into the mind itself. Memory, specifically.
Memory. Such a fascinating and, frankly, unreliable thing.
It really is. It's not like a perfect recording, is it? It feels more scattered,
Yeah.
abstract.
And it can change over time. Every time you remember something, you're actually remembering the last time you remembered it, not the original event. So errors can creep in, things can morph.
Which leads us to hypnotic regression. This came up with the Betty and Barney Hill UFO case back in 1961.
The interracial couple who had missing time after a sighting.
Yeah. Under hypnosis, separately, they both told these incredibly similar stories of being examined by aliens, which was a pretty new idea back then.
But this raises a huge question about hypnosis itself, doesn't it? The potential for suggestion, even manipulation?
The Manchurian Candidate idea? Can you implant false memories? Make someone do something against their will?
Well, that's the extreme version. But even unintentionally, could a hypnotist subtly guide someone's recall? How much is real memory? How much is suggestion filling in the gaps? It makes evaluating testimony really tricky.
It challenges our whole idea of reliable memory.
Definitely. It's a very fine line.
Okay, shifting from memory to another influence.
Yeah.
Music, how it affects emotions.
Right. We heard Charlie Puth talking about this, how changing the pitch of music can actually make you feel different things.
He mentioned pitching things up to 528 hertz, the so-called love frequency, to sweeten the audio, make it feel more emotional.
Now, the specific science around love frequencies is, let's say, debated in the mainstream scientific community.
Okay.
But the broader point holds, right? Music is incredibly powerful. It's like a dope drug, as someone put it. It can absolutely shift your emotional state.
So it's another subtle influence on our minds.
Absolutely. Sound, music, it shapes our mood, our perception, often without us even realizing it. A pervasive force.
Okay, let's wrap up with some broader social observations that came up. Thinking about, say, living in a super dense city like New York,
The sheer number of people.
it can lead to this weird lack of community, almost a desensitization. The example given was seeing someone collapsed on a subway platform, face down.
And people just walk by.
Yeah, you think that person could be dead, and it feels like nobody cares. It's jarring.
It really contrasts with the intense tribalism people often feel for their hometowns, doesn't it? That sense of belonging, defending your place.
Willing to die for it, as was said.
And travel, like for comedians who see lots of different places, it shows you how diverse lifestyles are across the country,
But also,
but also how fundamentally similar people are underneath it all. The paradox is that you can be surrounded by millions in a city, yet feel more isolated, less connected than in a smaller community. It's a strange feature of modern life.
wow. Okay, so we really covered some ground today.
We certainly did, from UFOs and skyjackers to...
Wartime drugs, population decline, car mods, creativity, memory, music. It's quite the spread.
But hopefully you see the connections now. These conversations, even the seemingly random ones, they offer real insights into human nature, technology, society, the mysteries we grapple
The
with.
value is in looking at those threads, right? Seeing how they link up.
Exactly. How much we can learn just by paying attention to how these different pieces fit together, even if they seem unrelated at first glance.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. As you go about your day, maybe consider this. How much of what you believe, what you think is solid fact, is actually shaped by your own unique perspective?
Hmm. By your community, by subtle influences you don't even notice.
And how might realizing that that perception isn't fixed, how might that change how you engage with information, with others, with the world?
Something to chew on.
Definitely. Thanks for diving deep with us today.